Welcome to the Frustration to Freedom podcast, helping advisors and insurance producers grow their practice. My name is Mike Bemis, Senior Advisor Development Consultant at Simplicity Minneapolis. I got my partner in crime here, Jeremy Karja, also Senior Advisor Development Consultant at Simplicity Minneapolis. Jeremy, we got a fun topic today. We are going to talk about replacements and maybe some keys around that and the opportunity that producers have today. And I think the big thing is there is a huge opportunity if you have not in the last 24 months gone through existing book and refinanced your client's retirement.
Refinance your retirement. What does that mean, Mike?
Well, right now is a fantastic time to go to all those great products that you sold back in 2021, 2020, 2019, maybe 2022 and older. And we can go back to those people and we can take the guaranteed income from sometimes $2,000 a month, from $2,000 a month to $2,500 a month. You remember that a lot of people back in 2000, they refinanced their mortgage, right? They wanted a lower interest rate.
Yep.
Well, guess what? Right now we can do it the same concept, but we can refinance their retirement and give them a pay raise. And how easy is it to go back to people that know you and like you already and basically say, Bob, here's what we did, annual review. Guess what? I can give you a raise. Jeremy, what do you think they're going to say?
I like raises. Tell me more.
Tell me more. Exactly. So, Jeremy, go into kind of some maybe specifics about, the process and kind of, how do you go about doing this?
Yeah. And first off, I think everyone needs to be aware you got acres of diamonds in your backyard and you're over here spending a bunch of money on seminars and radio and all sorts of other activities, blood, sweat, and tears, trying to find that next client when you have acres of diamonds right in your backyard. So wouldn't it make sense to go for the low-hanging fruit? If anyone in this podcast likes money, I would recommend it, right? Mike, I'm sure you could give example after example of individuals, but I had an advisor go from 20 to 40 million just because replacements. They normally do 20, and they did a little refinancing their retirement campaign. I've had advisors go from 0, new to the industry, but taking over a book and then getting some replacement business and everything in between. And so, you got acres of diamonds, you got to know how to mine. And so I think why advisors don't do it, Mike, is they don't really know how to. They've never been taught, like, okay, what's the strategy? What do I do? What do I call about? And we're going to give you that here. So there's a few different tactics to do that. You could email them with a short little letter. We can give you kind of a mini script on that and then just see what kind of results you get. Now, that's going to depend on their database though, right, Mike? If it's a 30 annuity client database or a 3,000 P&C client database that's, 30 years old, big difference, right? So understanding your database and getting a customized approach is really important. That's where you need to call me or Mike and we'll give you that customized approach. But essentially, you send that email out, maybe a physical mail, maybe a physical letter even. And then the big key, I think, is following it up with a phone call. So if you got like a 3,000 person database, maybe you send out 100 emails and follow it up with 100 phone calls a week. And you do that over the next 30 weeks, right? What do you think of something like that, Mike?
100%. I mean, it's time for an interview. We need to look at this policy that you have. Hey, I got this new thing called an income for life report, right? Hey, we need to update your income for life report. And guess what? I before we met, I kind of ran it up the flagpole with one insurance company to the other, and we found out we can actually refinance this and get you more income. Hey, now you're at $10,000 a month instead of $9,000. Is that going to be enough, or do you want 12? Is there still a gap? Oh my gosh, guess what? She's 59 and a half now. Hey, we can move this to other 401k too. You love this process? Hey, who else do you know is at the same stage of life that you are? So let's refinance those. Let's see if there's more money. And let's get referrals. How much business can we write off of that, right?
Yeah, you could run with this strategy for a hot minute. And I think a lot of people get scared of doing this strategy too, Mike, because either A, they haven't done replacements before, right? And they just don't understand that's a kind of a taboo subject, right? Oh, we don't replace, right? But that's just not understanding the situation. That's almost like if you think you're being a fiduciary by not replacing, you're not being a good fiduciary by not replacing maybe. Because if you can get your client 10, 20, 30% more income, if you called up your parents and said I could give you a 30%, 20% raise, like you said before, Mike, they're going to say yes. Right. And so I think people need to, just kind of shift their mindset on that. A lot of people on the call, those of you who've done replacements, it's a bit of a task. So you may have a little bit of, hesitancy there, but basically we can help you through that. Me and Mike we were at the company when they started suitability, a little company called Allianz. And so we have been through the ringer. We have sat on the boards for whether or not they're going to decide if they're going to take this case, right? I'm sitting there across from attorneys and chief suitability officers, as we're just getting into suitability. So me and Mike have a really good handle on it. So you call us, or my advisors, what I tell them is, send me 5 statements. If you're scared to look it up and figure it out, send me 5 annual statements. 10 annual statements. I'll do a quick review, give you a quick recap on which ones are replaceable, which ones aren't. I have a few questions. I need to know how much income they're at today with that product, and things like that. But I can actually review it for you, and I'll give you a list of, hey, these 7 are replaceable, 3 of them very replaceable, and these 3 are not replaceable at all. Or whatever the situation is, right, Mike? Is that a good strategy that you utilize?
100%. Jeremy and I do this all day long. We can help you learn the process of suitability to figure out if something's replaceable or not. We have all the knowledge and all the carriers and what they'll accept and what they don't accept. Because just because they're getting more income, it doesn't mean the carrier's going to accept it. Maybe the surrender charge is too high. And so we have to go to a carrier that's going to accept that certain surrender charge, right? And depending on when you're turning the income on, we got to look at one joint versus single and the differentiator of that. I mean, I had one just the other day where an agent was, with a certain carrier, it was single income. And so even though they wanted to do joint, we first had to look at, is it suitable comparing apples to apples? Yeah. And then after we figured out, yes, it was, now we say, okay, well, here's what the joint number is. So we can help you through that process. We can teach it to you and really help you with all those cases to get them across the finish line.
Yeah, that's perfect, Mike. Because our advisors, they need to be kneecap to kneecap with clients writing business. Well, that's where you utilize us, and we'll be that person who can kind of audit it and look at it and see if it's replaceable or not, because we have a big grid of all the carriers. We kind of have the knowledge in our head too, but a grid of the carriers, what they accept, what they don't accept, at what age, what states, how much they accept, how much more income increase you got to have, how old the policy has to be. There's 100 variables, yes, but don't try to figure it all out. Lean on us. We'll help you with those variables, right, Mike?
We do thousands of cases every single year, move millions of dollars every single year. And so it just really rely on us. Again, you need to be kneecap to kneecap. We'll do the dirty work. And I was going to say this really quick is at the recording of this podcast, this is one of the historic times, I think, in history for income riders and those payouts. And so I do think you're doing a disservice if you're not refinancing your clients. I think you're not being a fiduciary if you're not. I mean, again, I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes or anything like that, but my point is that it's a huge opportunity right now for the client and yourself to help people even more. And this opportunity will eventually go away. And so there should be urgency on this.
Yeah, 100%, Mike. I'm glad you mentioned that because, this is my 20th year in the business. And it wasn't even this good when I first got in 20 years ago. Like, this is primo time. So we can't emphasize that enough. Those of you who don't quite understand that this is the absolute best time and the rates are at absolute peaks, so this is and who knows how long it'll stay like that, right, Mike? I mean, one more war starts and rates drop and your window closes. So to say do it now is an understatement. And I'll tell you this too, again, why you want to work with us and call us is I had one just last week or the week before, but it was only an 18-month-old policy. So we're talking 2020, early 2025. And guess what? I didn't think that it was super likely, but ran it up the flagpole. I talked to my specific contacts I have at a carrier and a couple of carriers that I knew were at least willing to look at policies under 2 years. And after we ran it up the flagpole, we found out because it's going from no income rider to income rider, and this person needed income, they were willing to accept it because the bonus made up for a lot of that. So just knowing all those little details and those little factors and knowing the right people to go to at the carriers makes a huge difference as well. So call us. run it by us, send us statements,
Yep.
do a refinancing your retirement marketing campaign. Do a strategy
Yes.
today because it could mean
Today.
a lot of money in your pockets and you could help a lot of people increase their income in retirement for the rest of their life. Hey, you want a pay raise locked in for the rest of your life? We could do that.
Exactly. So if you want the scripts, if you want the process, if you need help with this, book a time with Jeremy and I. You're going to get us directly. Come join Team Elevate. We're going to help elevate your practice, and we're going to help you grow, and we're going to help you through this process. And, you can have your best year ever by just going to people that know you and like you already.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yep. Let's do it.
Team
Book the
Elevate.
call.
Let's go.